What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So today we're going to be taking out my 2022 KLX300SM, and I made a video not too long ago about the 3 things I hated about this bike. Today we're going to do a video on 3 things that I love about this bike. So let's get started. Well, for starters, I'm going to say how light and nimble this bike is. I've gone from a 750 Super Sport, which is my GSXR 750, which is a little over 420-ish pounds roughly, to this bike, which is like just at 300 pounds. So it's a huge difference for me going from a 420 pound bike, and I've had a 500 plus pound bike, which was my Ninja 1000 years ago. So I have some things to compare it to. Oh, look at everybody's out enjoying this weather. So I have some things to compare it to, but the light nimbleness of this bike is absolutely insane. The turn-in, the stock tires weren't that great. I switched it over to the Conti Supermoto Evos, I believe they're called, and those tires made a huge difference on the tip-in of this bike, like doing like track days and such like that. But all in all, this bike tips in, if easy to flick around. I mean, even just like doing wheelies on this bike, it's super light and nimble. It's just an easy bike to learn on. It's an easy bike to gain confidence on. So yeah, just the light and nimbleness is probably my favorite thing about the bike. Going from, like I said, a Super Sport, 420 pounds isn't heavy for as much power as you have on that bike, but this bike's just very light, very nimble, easy to flick around, easy to gain confidence on. The seat height's fairly low for a supermoto, especially compared to like the DRZ or the CRF. So that's a huge win for me. Number 2 is probably going to have to be gas mileage. I know, I hate to say it because like I don't ride bikes just to save gas, but getting 60 plus miles per gallon on a bike is pretty astounding. Like, it's the fun factor for the price that you're paying, for the amount of miles and smiles you're getting out of this bike, for me is a huge win. So I'm gonna have to say gas mileage. Like I said, when I first bought the bike, I think with the stock exhaust it was getting roughly around 55, maybe 53, somewhere around there. I did like 2 trips, and I believe one was like 53, 55, and then when I switched it over to the aftermarket exhaust, I actually picked up some miles per gallon, which is kind of usually not the case. And usually, like I said, that's not the case. Usually when you get an aftermarket exhaust, you're probably going to lose a little bit of miles per gallon, but I think it actually like allowed this bike to breathe a little better, and I've been able to get, I think the best I've ever got was like 65 miles per gallon, which is really, really incredible for, you know, something that will do close to 100 miles an hour. And that was another thing that really drove me to go for the KLX versus like the DRZ, because I've seen people do like 105, 106 on the DRZ. Well, I was able to hit 98 miles per hour on this bike, stock gearing, and now I'm up 2 teeth in the rear, so I don't know for sure like how much I'm getting now, but I was getting, with the stock gearing and with the aftermarket exhaust, I was getting right at 65 roughly miles per gallon, which is absolutely insane. So going over to number 3 is gonna have to be, compared to all the other supermotos, it's gonna have to be the electronic fuel injection. I really liked the DRZ 400, and I really like Suzuki. Okay, I'm not a fanboy of Suzuki, but I like their bikes. I like their designs. I think the DRZ 400 is probably a little bit better power wise. Obviously you got an extra 100 cc's, you got like 6 or 7 extra horsepower, which is, you know, nice, and it probably comes in handy. But the thing I really couldn't get over was the fact that it has 20-year-old technology, and now you're on a bike that has carburetors from like 2001, I believe, And I've had bikes in the past that have had carburetors, and I'm not a fan. I don't like dealing with those things. I didn't grow up around carburetors and rejetting and recarbing and whatever all that stuff is. It's not really something, like, it's not my forte. With electronic fuel injection, you just start the bike up. Cold, hot, doesn't matter. The bike's gonna start regardless, as long as obviously you have a good battery. But yeah, that was probably the biggest determining factor of me getting this bike, was the fact that it had the EFI, electronic fuel injection. But yeah, guys, I wanted to make a video on the 3 things that I really love, and honestly, I could probably just keep going on. I could make like a 10 list, a list of at least 10 things that I like about the bike. I like the display. I like that it has the RPM gauge. You know, the aftermarket gear indicator was something I added myself, which I feel like they could have come out with one on there, but the DRZ doesn't have it either. The KLX300 does have it, but they don't come out with a but the CRF also doesn't come with a supermoto version. You have to spend the money on the tires and the rims, and to me, $120 gear indicator versus having to buy tires and rims is a win for me, because you're going to spend well over $1,000 buying, you know, at least if you go out and buy some decent like Warp 9 wheels, you know, it's going to be well over $1,000 for that stuff. So plus tire install and all that good nice what is that? But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I wanted to do a video on this because I really do love the bike. I have toyed with the idea of selling it. I know I've mentioned that before, but honestly, the more and more I ride it, the more and more I enjoy it. And it really is just like, it's a fun bike, and I can't find anything else that I'm really that interested in that makes me want to be able to get rid of this bike. If I ever do come across something that I really do like more so, I may end up selling it, but for the time being, she's gonna stay with me. I've looked at some other, oh god, this guy is, whoa, Danger Ranger, he's all over the place. Could be drinking and driving, guys, I don't know. This is Florida. But yeah, anyways, I wanted to do the video on the 3 things that I love about the bike. Like I said, I could keep going on and on if I wanted to. I've got roughly 1,500 miles on the bike right now, and I've owned it for right around 6 months or so. There was a time where I didn't ride it for like 2 months straight because the weather wasn't so good. It was just a little too cold for me to take it out. But other than that, like, the bike has been flawless, hasn't given me any issues whatsoever. And you guys have probably seen my mod video on this bike. I know quite a few people, like when I bought the bike, I wasn't like getting a whole lot of feedback on this bike, but I think over the 6 months that I've owned it, I've gained some subscribers that are into supermotos or just like enduros in general. And that's one of the good things. Like, I could literally just throw some knobby tires on this bike and take it off on some trails. I mean, I could do that right now, but it's not going to perform like the enduro version or the R version would do. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace, ride safe, and we'll see you in the next video.